भूतकल्पनाजाल गम्भीरोदारमूर्तये नमः समन्तभद्राय समन्तस्फुरणत्विषे. We can start with the refuge, Bodhicitta, and immeasurables. Together. Buddham cha dharmam cha ganottamam cha yavaddibodhim sharanam prayami danadikrityaischa kritairmayebhir buddho bhaveyam jagato hitaya. Buddham cha dharmam cha ganottamam cha yavaddibodhim sharanam prayami danadikrityaischa kritairmayebhir buddho bhaveyam jagato hitaya. Buddham cha dharmam cha ganottamam cha yavaddibodhim sharanam prayami danadikrityaischa kritairmayebhir buddho bhaveyam jagato hitaya. Sattva sukhena samprayujyeran sattva dukhena viyujyeran sattva sukhena naviyujyeran sattva hitam labheran sattva sukhena samprayujyeran sattva dukhena viyujyeran sattva sukhena naviyujyeran sattva hitam labheran sattva sukhena samprayujyeran sattva dukhena viyujyeran sattva sukhena naviyujyeran sattva hitam labheran. And now we can repeat the verses that we have done so far. So I think it's from verse 1 to verse 32. Sugatan sasu, but I think we do Sugatan sasutan sadharmakayan pranipatya darato khilanscha vandyan sugatatmaja samvaravataram kathayishyami yathagamam samasat nahi kinchidapurvamatra vachyam nacha sangranthana kaushalam mamasti ataeva name parartha chinta swamano vasayitum kritam mayedam mamata vadanena yati vruddhim kushalam bhavayitum prasada vegaha athamat samadhatureva pashyed aparopyena matopi sarthakoyam Kshana sampadiyam sudurlabha pratilabdha purushartha sadhani yadinatra vichintyate hitam punarapyesha samagamah kutaha Ratrau yatha megha ganandhakare vidyukshanam darshayati prakasham buddhanubhavena tatha kadachil lokasya punyeshu matih kshanam syat tasmat shubham durbalameva nityam balam tu papasya mahat sughoram तज्जीयतेऽन्येन शुभेन केन सम्बोधिचित्तं यदि नाम न स्यात् कल्पाननल्पान् प्रविचिन्तयद्भिर्दृष्टं मुनीन्द्रैर्हितमेतदेव यतः सुखेनैव सुखं प्रवृद्धम् उत्प्लावयत्यप्रमितान् जनौघान् भवदुःखशतानि तर्तु कामैरपि सत्त्वव्यसनानि हर्तु कामैः बहुसौख्यशतानि भोक्तु कामैर्न विमोच्यं हि सदैव बोधिचित्तम् भवचारकबन्धनो वराकः सुगतानां सुत उच्यते क्षणेन स नरामरलोकवन्दनीयो भवति स्मोदित एव बोधिचित्ते अशुचिप्रतिमामिमां गृहीत्वा जिनरत्नप्रतिमां करोत्यनर्घाम् रसजातमतीव वेदनीयम् सुदृढं गृह्णत बोधिचित्तसंज्ञम् सुपरीक्षितमप्रमेयधीभिर्बहुमूल्यं जगदेकसार्थवाहैः गतिपत्तनविप्रवासशीलाः सुदृढं गृह्णत बोधिचित्तरत्नम् कदलीव फलं विहाय याति क्षयमन्यत् कुशलं हि सर्वमेव सततं फलति क्षयं न याति प्रसवत्येव तु बोधिचित्तवृक्षः कृत्वापि पापानि सुदारुणानि यदाश्रयादुत्तरति क्षणेन शूराश्रयेणेव महाभयानि नाश्रीयते तत्कथमज्ञसत्त्वैः युगान्तकालानलवन्महान्ति पापानि यन्निर्दहति क्षणेन यस्यानुशंसानमितानुवाच मैत्रेयनाथः सुधनाय धीमान् तद्बोधिचित्तं द्विविधं विज्ञातव्यं समासतः बोधिप्रणिधिचित्तं च बोधिप्रस्थानमेव च गन्तुकामस्य गन्तुश्च यथा भेदः प्रतीयते तथा भेदो नयोर्ज्ञेयो यथा संख्येन पंडितैः बोधिप्रणिधिचित्तस्य संसारेऽपि फलं महत् न तु अविच्छिन्न पुण्यत्वं यथा प्रस्थानचेतसः यतः प्रभृत्य पर्यन्त सत्वधातु प्रमोक्षणे समाददाति तच्चित्तम् अनिवर्त्येन चेतसा ततः प्रभृत्य सुप्तस्य प्रमत्तस्याप्यनेकशः अविच्छिन्नाः पुण्यधाराः प्रवर्तन्ते नभस्समाः इदं सुबाहुपृच्छायां सोपपत्तिकमुक्तवान् हीनाधिमुक्तिसत्त्वार्थं स्वयमेव तथागतः शिरशूलानि सत्त्वानां नाशयामीति चिन्तयन् अप्रमेयेण पुण्येन गृह्यते स्म हिताशयः किमुता प्रमितं शूलम् एकैकस्य जिहीर्षतः अप्रमेयगुणं सत्त्वम् एकैकं च चिकीर्षतः कस्य मातुः पितुर्वापि हिताशंसेयमीदृशी देवतानां ऋषीणां वा ब्रह्मणां वा भविष्यति तेषामेव च सत्त्वानां स्वार्थेऽप्येष मनोरथः नोत्पन्नपूर्वस्वप्नेऽपि परार्थे सम्भवः कुतः सत्त्वरत्नविशेषोऽयम् अपूर्वो जायते कथम् यत्परार्थाशयोऽन्येषां न स्वार्थेऽप्युपजायते जगदानन्दबीजस्य जगद्दुःखौषधस्य च चित्तरत्नस्य यत्पुण्यं तत्कथं हि प्रमीयताम् हिताशंसनमात्रेण बुद्धपूजा विशिष्यते किं पुनः सर्वसत्त्वानां सर्वसौख्यार्थमुद्यमात् दुःखमेवाभिधावन्ति दुःखनिस्सरणाशयाः सुखिच्छयेव सम्मोहात् स्वसुखं घ्नन्ति शत्रुवत् यस्तेषां सुखरङ्कानां पीडितानामनेकशः तृप्तिं सर्वसुखैः कुर्यात् सर्वाः पीडाश्छिनत्ति च नाशयत्यपि सम्मोहं साधुस्तेन समः कुतः कुतो वा तादृशं मित्रं पुण्यं वा तादृशं कुतः Krateyah pratikurvita sopi tavat prashasyate avyaparita sadhusto bodhisattvah kimucyatam. Yes, I think we stopped here. Now, to offer a very brief summary, the first section is a kind of introduction to taking up bodhicitta, and it includes the act of respect to the three jewels, as well as an indication of the subject matter, and then the indication of the purpose of the treatise, some reflections on the difficulty of obtaining appropriate conditions for the dharma and to develop bodhicitta, and also how bodhicitta is a special kind of merit that can overcome even lots of non-virtue. So then we have, through examples taken also from the sutras, especially the Ganda Vyuha, a praise of bodhicitta in general, until the twofold distinction of bodhicitta is introduced, the bodhicitta of aspiration and the bodhicitta of setting forth, which means actually practicing the six perfections. And then the greatness of bodhicitta is once again highlighted, taking into account this twofold classification and highlighting how bodhicitta produces a lot of merit. And in that process, both bodhicitta as well as the bodhisattva, someone who has given rise to bodhicitta, have been praised. This is, I think, where we are now. The last thing that was said is that even somebody who does something in return for something done is praised. If that person is praised, then what are we going to say of a bodhisattva, who is avyaparita sadhu, is an unprompted good person, meaning not prompted by the fact that we do something good to the bodhisattva. So that's where we are. And now he's going to offer again a similar case, an example of someone doing good and then comparing it to the bodhisattva. The idea is the same. If we praise somebody for this, what should we say of a bodhisattva? Katipaya jana satradayakaha kushala krit iti abhipujyate janaihi kshanamasanakamatradhanataha saparibhavam divasardayapanat. It is a little difficult. I'll say it slower. Katipaya jana satradayakaha kushala krit itya bhipujyate janaihi kshanamasanaka matradhanataha saparibhavam divasardhayapanat. So someone who offers a satra. Satra is like, it's kind of like a ceremony where one offers food to poor people. In the commentary, they refer even to a place, like a building, where poor people are invited and they're given food. So this describes that situation. A dayaka, someone who is making this offering of food for poor people. So someone who offers this offering of food, called satra, just to a limited number of people, is worshipped, abhipujyate, by the people, by people in general, or as the commentary explains, more specifically by those people who delight in good acts. So those people are going to praise that person by saying, he's someone who has done something virtuous. He's someone who performs virtue. So someone who does is praised as someone who performs virtue. For what? For a gift of mere food, and actually not necessarily very good food. The word used here has a particle that can mean that it's food, but it's not necessarily the best food. So sometimes when people offer food to poor people, they give them the simplest possible food, not necessarily the most delicious food. And they do it kshanam, just one time, for a limited amount of time. Saparibhavam, it means not really with respect, but with some kind of contempt, even pushing them into the place and not treating them very respectfully. And one is still praised for this gift, which is capable of making them survive, making them go on for half a day. Because how does the gift work? Let's say they give food to the poor at midday, and then the poor are okay until evening comes. When evening comes, they again have to look for food. But even by doing this much, usually a person is praised. If somebody does that, normally we say, oh, this person has done something virtuous. So that's the point of this verse. Okay, we can repeat it. Katipaya jana satradayakaha kushalakrid ityabhipujyate janaihi kshanamashanakamatra saparibhavam divasardhayapanat. Now the other verse is the comparison. Kimu niravadhi sattva sankhya niravadhi kalam anuprayachataha gagana jana parikshaya kshayam sakala manoratha samprapuranam kimu niravadi sattva sankhya niravadi kalam anuprayachataha gagana jana parikshaya kshayam sakala manoratha samprapuranam. So each part of this verse relates to what was said earlier somehow. So it means, what should we say then if we praise the first case? What should we say of somebody who, for an amount of sentient beings which is without limit? So the first one was katipaya jana, just a few people. So if somebody offers a gift of food like this satra, even if they offer it to many people, it's still a limited number. But the Bodhisattva doesn't have a limit in mind. The Bodhisattva doesn't say, I am going to offer, to give to, let's say, 100 million people, and then I stop. The Bodhisattva doesn't stop. The Bodhisattva doesn't have any limit in mind. And also, earlier we saw that the gift was kshanam, just for a limited period of time. It means it is given once, it takes some time, but it's a limited time. The Bodhisattva gives niravadikalam, for a time without limit. So once again, the Bodhisattva is not thinking something like, I am going to make offerings to sentient beings for, let's say, 1 billion eons. Then I stop. Then that's enough. I stop. The Bodhisattva doesn't think in that way. The Bodhisattva just continues. And there's two ways to understand the word gaganajana. I've translated it only in one way because, of course, we cannot translate both ways. It can mean that the sentient beings are like the sky because they are as vast as the sky, or it can mean that he is going to give for as long as either sentient beings and the sky are going to be exhausted. And that means neither of them is going to be exhausted. So here, to clarify, the commentator quotes a verse from the dedication chapter. The last chapter of the Bodhicharyavatara, chapter 10, is a dedication chapter. The whole chapter is a dedication. And there's a famous verse which says, Akashasya stitiryavad yavacha jagata stitihi tavan mama stitir bhuyat. So, as long as the sky might last, as long as the world might last, may I last for that long, helping sentient beings. So, this is the mentality of a bodhisattva. So, if we compare, you can see that there is a huge difference between the first case and this case. And furthermore, he doesn't give just a little bit of food. He fulfills all wishes. Sakala manoratha, which means whatever is wished for by a certain sentient beings, whatever is also blemishless, this is an interesting addition. So he says, whatever they wish, which is blemishless, which is, it means, is not non-virtuous. So whatever they wish, which is non-virtuous, which is not non-virtuous, he is going to offer it, and is not going to offer it saparibhavam, with some kind of contempt. He's going to offer it with great love, with great respect, with great acts of respect, and also with a happy mind, which is also preceded by speaking nicely towards those people. So this is how the bodhisattva is going to do his or her offering. And if we compare to the previous one, it differs in all cases in terms of how many sentient beings, so the recipient, in terms of the time, it differs in terms of the object that is being given, and it differs in terms of the attitude with which it is being given. So if we compare, if we already think that the first case is worthy of praise, then what should we think of a bodhisattva? This is the idea. It means, of course, bodhisattva is really praiseworthy. And then there is a quote from a sutra called Narayana Pariprucha, the questions of Narayana, where it is said that there is nothing whatsoever that is to be taken up by a bodhisattva, that the bodhisattva will not be ready to give, because the bodhisattva has already left even one's own body to all sentient beings. The bodhisattva has already offered one's own body to all sentient beings. Therefore, what to say about outer objects? So any kind of outer object for a bodhisattva is very easy to give. The bodhisattva is ready to offer. If somebody asks for the hands of a bodhisattva, bodhisattva will offer the hands. If somebody comes and asks a bodhisattva, please give me your head, the bodhisattva will just ask somebody to cut it. So what to say of any outer object? Of course, that will be even easier. I have mentioned, though, that it is explained that it's not that if today one takes up Bodhicitta, then after 5 minutes we are ready to offer one's eyes or one's hands. That's not, actually that is not recommended, because when we give, we should not regret. So if we are aware of our stinginess, even with material things, it's better not to give too much and then regret it. Because if we regret it, then it's a lot of demerit. It means we are born as pretas. We are born as the hungry ghosts. The main defilement of the hungry ghost realm is stinginess. So that means we have to be aware. Like, we should give what we are confident that we will not regret. And slowly it can increase up to the point that really we are like the high-level bodhisattvas that do not mind to offer really parts of their own body to other sentient beings. But it's a gradual process, and it also has to do with the level of our understanding and realization of the nature of reality. When we don't have any realization of the nature of reality, we don't understand selflessness and emptiness, then giving in that way is very difficult and maybe painful. But once we have a realization of selflessness and emptiness, then it's not so hard. So this is another point. It's a gradual process. So when we see these quotes or we read the Jatakas, we have to keep in mind that, okay, it's not really necessarily that beginner bodhisattvas are encouraged to give more than they're comfortable with. Okay, so I think this verse, however, is not so difficult, but when you read these two verses together, you can reflect on how they match. Like each part matches the second one. There's a comparison in 4 respects. So we can repeat it. Kimu niravadhi sattva sankhya niravadhi kalam anuprayachataha gagana jana parikshaya kshayam sakala manoratha samprapuranam. Okay. Now the next verse is an interesting warning. Iti satrapatau jinasya putre kalusham swe hridaye karoti yascha kalushodaya sankhya sakalpan narakeshva vasatiti natha aha iti satra pattau jinasya putre kalusham swe hridaye karoti yascha kalushodaya sankhya sakalpan narakeshvavasatiti natha aha. Yeah. I think most people, first time they read this verse, were not very happy. Because this verse says, so in this way, the Jinaputra, the son of the victors, is a Satra Pati, is a lord of food feasts. Satra means this gift, this ritual gift. So it means is the highest possible gift. Is the one who makes the best possible gift. So any person that towards a bodhisattva causes some turbidity in one's own mind, it means that one produces a negative thought towards a bodhisattva, then that person is going to stay in the hells for as many eons, as many kalpas, as the instants that that thought lasts. This is what the protector, meaning the Buddha, said. So, a kalpa is a very long period of time. And a kshana, a moment, is a very short period of time. So, sometimes if they explain how long is a kshana, if you take 100 lotus petals, you put them like this, and then you take a strong person, and this strong person has a needle, and this strong person just goes through these 100 petals very strongly. The amount of time that it takes to that needle to pass one of those petals is one kshana. So for as many of those moments, that if one person has for 3 moments, that person will stay for 3 kalpas in hell. If it's 100 moments, which is not very long, because to do this is less than 1 second, then that means 100 kalpas, and so forth. So if, let's say, we produce a negative mind towards a bodhisattva for 10 minutes, then that's a very, very long time in hell. So this is a kind of warning, basically. And of course, later we will see that actually things are not as terrible as they may sound, but it is a warning because one point is, strictly speaking, we never know who is a bodhisattva. Buddhas and bodhisattvas can manifest in many different shapes. Okay, generally, maybe we can see, but not always. Like, if we meet an animal, like a dog, maybe that dog is a bodhisattva. We just don't know. Yeah, it might be our own obscuration that makes us see the dog in that way, but really we don't know. Maybe you know the story of Asanga. If you know the story of Asanga, then you know that a dog, even a dog that doesn't look good, even a dog that looks like a little angry, can actually be Maitreya. So that means we have to be very careful. Also, there are, in the Mahayana Sutras, there are descriptions of bodhisattvas which do not look like what we expect a bodhisattva should be. One famous case is in the Gandavyuha, Sudhana, we found earlier. I was telling, one of his teacher is a prostitute. And many people don't know that she is a great bodhisattva. So they have wrong view about this person. But in fact, she is very, very great bodhisattva and one of the teachers of Sudana. So that means we really don't know. In that case, people just thought that she doesn't have a very wonderful job, but in fact, that is a bodhisattva. So that means generally this is a warning about being very judgmental of others. Because in the end, if we are not clairvoyant, we don't see other people's mind, we actually don't know much about other people. We see their outer behavior, but that doesn't tell us the whole story. And if it's a very high-level bodhisattva, we might have very strange behavior. They know that that actually could be beneficial to others. We cannot see it. And therefore, generally speaking, we are discouraged from using Shila as a meter to be judgmental of others. That's usually not the point of Shila. Discipline is something for ourselves. Usually we learn about discipline to improve our own mind. We don't learn it so that we can have a meter by which we decide that this is a good person, this is a bad person. That's not the purpose. And the point is that if we are judgmental, actually we might produce lots of demerit in our mind. Like in the examples which I was mentioning. You might think, oh, this person has an inappropriate job. Well, but that person happens to be a high-level bodhisattva. Some bodhisattvas even they can have a magical display. So we see something happening, but it's not really happening. And so we might get wrong view towards them, but in fact even what we saw didn't really happen. So we have, first of all, not to trust our perception too much. This is one point in general of Buddhist philosophy. If we are not Buddhas, if we are not bodhisattvas on the bhumis, our perception is obscured. So the way we see things is not really in accordance with the nature of reality, and we shouldn't trust it too much. We shouldn't trust too much what we see with our eyes, etc., etc., because much of it is just our own concept. It depends from our own accumulation of merit and wisdom, and to a bodhisattva on the bhumis, it might look quite different. So we have to be always a little bit not overconfident about our own perception. This, I think, is maybe part of what is implied here. Let's be careful when we meet people not to develop a wrong mind, because in the odd chance that those people are bodhisattvas, well, then we produce lots of negative karma. I remember actually reading a Chinese master who said the best attitude is to think of oneself as an ordinary person and think of every other sentient being you meet as a bodhisattva. That's the safest attitude. So I think that's also a good idea, because that's very safe. That way we will always think of other people with respect, and we will always develop the wish to improve ourselves and not be judgmental. We'll be more patient when somebody does something that we don't like or we think it's non-virtuous. So, of course, it's an upaya. We are not sure that everybody else is a bodhisattva. We don't know. But I think as far as a method, to me it sounded quite reasonable. At least we should contemplate that possibility and be cautious. But here, okay, this is said in a sutra, actually. It is a sutra called prashanta vinishchaya pratiharya. So this is something that the Buddha tells to Manjushri. But then somebody might get a doubt about this teaching, because even when one describes among the negative karmas, even somebody who with a negative mind draws blood from a Buddha doesn't get this much negative karma. It doesn't get to stay in hell that much. So somebody asks, how is that possible? The Buddha is the highest being, and even somebody who draws some blood from the Buddha with a negative mind is not going to hell for that long. So what does this mean? This doesn't seem to make any sense. And the answer is, well, actually, that explanation about drawing blood from the Buddha with a negative mind, it's not ultimate meaning, because it's not possible. It's not possible to draw blood from a Buddha. The Buddha, and it's not possible to have really a negative mind towards a Buddha. If one meets a Buddha, the Buddha has cultivated Maitri to such a level that even if we take a weapon, we cannot really harm a Buddha. So we have to keep that in mind. That, well, according to what the commentator says, we won't even get that intention really. Devadatta. Yeah, that's an interesting point. But that could also have some element of interpretable meaning, the stories of Devadatta. Yes. Yeah. But it seems, according to what the commentator says, that actually that we have to take not literally. Like even the case of Devadatta, maybe we shouldn't take literally. This is at least what the commentator says. And in the end, after he says that, however, he also says, I just said what the Agama says. I just said what the Mahayana Sutras tell me. Ultimately, about this matter, only the Buddha knows. Like the matter of how karma and its result works, it's only the Buddha who knows. But he also explains that since it is possible to do this to a bodhisattva, well, when we harm a bodhisattva, we are harming Buddhahood in some sense. Because a bodhisattva is a future Buddha, and therefore we are harming the benefit to all sentient beings. And therefore, this is a tremendous demerit. That's the logic behind it. And this again is exemplified in a sutra where it is said that if somebody were to destroy many stupas, as many stupas as there are the pebbles in the river Ganges, if one were to destroy them or to burn them, and somebody else who were to have a mind to harm a bodhisattva and start shouting at a bodhisattva, scolding a bodhisattva, well, the second person produces more demerit than the first person. And the reason is, Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas, and stupas are born from Buddhas. So ultimately, the bodhisattva is the origin of all those fields of merit, and therefore, it's very important to take care about that. Okay, so this verse is about being cautious in our behavior with others. So, we can read it again. Iti satra pattau jinasya putre kalusham swe hridaye karoti yascha kalushodaya sankhya sakalpan narakeshvavasati natha aha. Atayasya manah prasadameti prasavetasya tatodhikam phalam mahata hi balena papakam jinaputreshu shubham tvayatnataha. Once more. Atayasya manah prasadameti prasavetasya tatodhikam phalam mahata hi balena papakam jinaputreshu shubham tvayatnataha. So, on the other hand, someone whose mind will produce prasada, which is a good disposition, sometimes it's translated as faith. Actually, these two terms are related because prasada means clarity, and it might be connected to, like, when we have water and all the turbidity settles. That's prasada. So sometimes it means literal clarity. Sometimes it means a clarity or serenity of the mind, which is also one of the forms of shraddha, which is often translated as faith. So when one develops this kind of very positive disposition of the mind towards a bodhisattva, that mind is going to produce for that person even a greater amount of positive result. So earlier we said that if somebody has a negative mind towards a bodhisattva, then the person will go to hell for a long time. But if a person develops a positive mind, then that person is going to produce very great merit. And the encouraging information here is that it actually takes a lot of force, a lot of effort to produce papa, to produce something non-virtue towards the sons of a Buddha, towards bodhisattvas. On the other hand, something virtuous comes without effort. So generally speaking, it will be more natural and easier to produce some kind of positive attitude towards bodhisattvas rather than the opposite. Of course, I've mentioned cases where that is not entirely clear, so generally one is still warned, but this point is also made. And here again there is an example from the Niyata Avatara Mudra Sutra, where it is said that just imagine that in the 10 directions all sentient beings had no eyes. They lost their eyes. And just imagine that one person had Maitra Chitta, so Maitri, and with this Maitri and with some superpower, that person could give birth to the eyes of all sentient beings. So sentient beings, all sentient beings in the 10 directions are blind. That person produces Maitri and cures that blindness, produces eyes for those sentient beings. Then imagine another person a Kulaputra or Kuladuhita, who were to look upon a bodhisattva who has got conviction in the Mahayana, so Mahayana practitioner bodhisattva. If that person were to look upon that bodhisattva with prasanna citta, with a serene mind, with a positive mind, the second person produces much more merit than the first person. So just by looking upon a bodhisattva with a positive mind, it is more merit than restoring the eyesight of all the sentient beings in the 10 directions. So that means it's really a lot of merit. So in that sense, that advice of the Chinese master, it seems very good. Because if by any chance we do meet somebody who has given really rise to bodhicitta, and it turns out that person is a bodhisattva as we had imagined, then we have produced this much merit. Therefore, and he concludes by saying that therefore, people who know what is benefit to themselves should produce a positive mind to this very great field of merit, which is bodhisattvas. So, since bodhisattvas always have appropriate, nice behavior of body, speech and mind, they easily produce prasada, serenity in the mind of others. And because of the force of their bodhicitta, it's not easy that other people get this mind of wishing to harm them. It's not. It takes some effort. And here an example given in a sutra is about the Chintamani Ratnaraja. Okay. The Chintamani is a wish-fulfilling gem. So, when kings obtain the Chintamani, this wish-fulfilling gem, and they put it on their crown, they become invincible. It means no enemy is going to invade their territory. Similarly, when bodhisattvas place on their head the wish-fulfilling gem, which is the great compassion of Bodhicitta, then they have no fear of going to the lower realms or somebody invading them, disturbing them. Yeah, and here actually he also mentioned the Sangraha Vastus, what we discussed yesterday, the 4 things which attract sentient beings. This is one reason why it is usually easy to have a positive mind towards bodhisattvas, because they practice those 4 means of attraction. You remember the 4 things that we mentioned yesterday? Dana, speaking nicely, and beneficial activity, and samanartata. So matching what one says and what one does. So those 4, since bodhisattvas practice those 4, then it is quite effortless to produce a positive mind towards them. Okay, so I think this is not too difficult. We can read it once more. Atayasya manah prasadameti prasavettasya tatodhikam phalam mahatahi balena papakam jinaputreshu shubham tvayatnataha tesham sharirani namaskaromi yatroditam tadvarachittaratnam yatrapakaropi sukhanubandhi sukhakaram stan sharanam prayami tesham sharirani namaskaromi yatroditam tadvarachittaratnam yatrapakaropi sukhanubandhi sukhakaram stan sharanam prayami. So I bow, namaskaromi, to the bodies, sharirani, of those people in whom that best jewel of a mind has arisen. So those who have got bodhicitta. Those people towards whom even wrongdoing becomes a cause of happiness. I go for refuge in those minds of happiness. So here it is explained that we can take part of a verse in two different meanings. One meaning is that when we do something wrong to a bodhisattva, despite the demerit, etc., etc., in the end, that even that is going to benefit us. And this we find in several jatakas. In many jatakas, we find that someone does something wrong to a bodhisattva, but then in turn, that person's mind becomes changed, and it turns out that even that type of connection transforms the person repents, and the person starts practicing the dharma. So any kind of connection with a bodhisattva turns out into something positive. And the other meaning is that for the bodhisattva, him or herself, if somebody else does something wrong to them, they're happy. So the other meaning is that for them, receiving wrongdoing from others is just a cause of happiness. And we find this in the Bodhicharya Avatara itself, where actually Shantideva expresses the wish. Well, this goes more with the first one though. He says that even those people who wrongly accuse me or do wrongdoing towards me, etc., may they all become Buddhas. So the Bodhisattva joins them to this wish of Bodhicitta. But for oneself too, since the Bodhisattva develops Mahakaruna, great compassion, it's like when one receives a small wrongdoing from one's beloved son. So if one has a child, the child does something which is slightly wrong, still one doesn't develop such a negative mind towards the child. And this is discussed a little bit more in detail in chapter 6. Chapter 6 is about kshanti, about the perfection of forbearance, where it is explained how a bodhisattva develops a positive mind even towards wrongdoers. People who treat the bodhisattva very badly, still the bodhisattva develops a positive mind. The first one actually reminds me of something. You should check, because I haven't found it written. It's something that a friend was telling me, a Dharma friend, was telling me that apparently there is one place where Patrul Rinpoche, a very great master who was in fact emphasizing the Bodhicharyavatara a lot, he said that he really wished that he could have been alive when Milarepa was alive, at least to throw a stone at him. And the idea is that even if that's not the ideal connection, Milarepa was such a holy being that at least that's a small kind of connection that one could make to Milarepa. So that this reminds me a bit of that saying, that some beings are so exceptional that even if we make a connection which looks a bit negative, in the end we are going to have some kind of benefit. Okay, I think that, however, also not too difficult, so we can read it once again. Tesham sharirani namaskaromi yatroditam tadvarachittaratnam yatrapakaropi sukhanubandhi sukhakaram stan sharanam prayami.